Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
Very fortunate to have recently had the experience of working with a lot of big names, and I don't really get starstruck.
Right.
But can I tell you that 90 Day Fiancé has saved my pandemic existence?
Has it really?
I just started following Darcy on Instagram, and I am obsessed with her, and I want to work with her so bad. I don't know how. I was going to slide in her DMs and be like, hi, I love you. You're incredible.
I
Thank
can
you.
introduce you to Darcy.
Him.
I can do that.
I would die.
Like, it's not even an issue. I could do that.
No, but like I'm not even joking.
Yeah. So
I want to be part of her like House of 11 campaign. Like,
so you know how House of 11 got created, right? So they had a brother. They had a brother who died when he was 11.
Mm-hmm.
Their dad is owns an engineering company in China, right? Black guy, right? So
their dad is?
Their dad is. Yeah.
Okay.
Their dad is black. How do I know that? Because if you go back, if I showed you this part, I can leave in. When I show you the pilot of my Business of Dance TV show, a couple of the first shots are me sitting next to Darcy because she's one of the judges. Because it's me, Darcy, her sister Stacy. Her dad was the mogul on my panel, along with Jason Derulo and Marguerite Derricks.
Okay.
So we go way back. I have a cartoon that's called Moet Jr. and Friends, and Darcy and Stacy are characters in my cartoon.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, I should bring that back now because it'll probably get picked up because those two are killing it at the moment.
Because they're killing it because they have their show.
Yeah.
I just want to be their best friend.
Yeah.
Like I just want to hype them up. I'll follow them around with my little phone and like take all their little social media pics. Like they're doing so well with TikTok.
Oh, they're killing it right now.
I just love them. Like I am not a reality TV person. Like that was never my thing. People used to say like, oh, you should go on America's Next Top Model. And I was like, I can't. But like, we sit around and watch 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, 90 Day Fiancé,
right.
90 Day Fiancé.
I mean, they've been grinding for a long time, and I knew them before they had anything. I mean, House of 11 has been around, but before they were doing clothing, right? So House of 11 was the name of the clothing line, and then House of 11 became, and then their dad actually financed my pilot. So he is a multimillionaire, and he used to build hospitals for people because his son died. And then he went on this mission, like all this money he would make, he would open up hospitals for children who can't afford hospital care. And that's how kind of House of 11 was created. So I know it's crazy because I know the back. It's weird how this is going to be also on the podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of these people I've actually know now. I knew way back when. So it's a weird thing to see. Like, so you know who Danny Lee is?
Yeah.
The singer Danny Lee. Right.
Yeah.
So one of my students here, Tyler, right, is a dancer, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm going to LA." And I was like, "I'll get you an agent." So I called Go To Talent. I said, "Sign this kid, he's dope." And they sign everybody I send to them because everybody works, right? So they sign him. Boom, he gets a tour. The tour is Danny Lee. Well, he kept saying, "I'm on tour, Danny Lee. Thanks to this, that, and the other." And I'm like, Danny Lee. I was like, I don't know why that sounds familiar, but I just kind of blew it off. Then I'm going through my Facebook, and I'm like, wait a minute. Danny Lee's last name is Curiel, right?
Yeah.
So her sisters were in a group called Curly Fries, or her and another sister, right?
Okay.
The mom, Vicky, used to blow me up and still does all the time with like Curly Fries performing here, support us, this, that, and the other. And it turns out Danny Lee, here we go all the way back, was the one girl who were replacing a singer for Trinity in Burbank at the Plaza, which is across from the Grove.
Right.
During that time, my business partner, Harvey, this is how it goes full circle. This shit is incestual. Harvey's girlfriend is Darcy.
Right? Oh, okay.
So the reason why we got the thing financed is because Harvey was dating Darcy and got the dad to invest in what we were doing. Right.
Wow.
So it's like, but then Danny Lee ends up at the apartment auditioning to be the third singer of this group Trinity, who the lead singer quit out of nowhere and went back to Australia.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, it's crazy how, and then while we were looking for her, the other girl who we were trying to get, and we talked to the mom.
Yeah.
Was like, yeah, I want to be in this group. Great. Disappears off the face of the earth. That girl was Jessica Sanchez. She took second on American Idol like 4 years ago.
Good Lord.
And she has a song with Neo on her first record. She has like 3 songs with Neo on her first record.
That's casual. I mean, my gosh, anybody I could think of, anybody I feel like I could name in the industry, like there is somebody that I've met who I know well.
Right.
Who knows them? like you're literally that connecting piece. You know how they say everything is 6 degrees, no more than 6 degrees?
Absolutely.
Like I have you and I have like 4 other people who are like my 1 degree. Like
you're like, oh, these 1 degree people. It's crazy because you see them when they're on their way up, you know, and then they blow up, forget you, of course, you know, and then, you know, that happens. I mean, I think Darcy and Stacy, they will hit me up on Instagram randomly about stuff, but the problem with that is that Darcy's the person in her mind that sticks out the most that she hates is Harvey.
Right.
And
right.
When Harvey got married, and he's divorced now, when he got married, I was the best man in his wedding. So there's this, you know what I mean? But like I have no ill will towards them. It's just, and then Stephanie, who was the model that was on it, that's how this whole thing got started, was Stephanie was in the group Trinity. So that's why she knows Darcy and Stacy, because it's all connected.
Okay. Yeah. That's so funny.
It's Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is.
It's a big industry, but a very small world.
Yeah. So I'm going to do your introduction later. We're just going to keep talking.
Okay.
So I just I have a list of stuff that because I haven't talked to you for so long. I know, you know, we touch base on Instagram and whatnot, but just wanted to, you know, and also because, you know, my podcast, when I first started, it was like Miguel, and then Matt Nye, who's an actor, comedian, and Brandon, who's an actor. And I was like, man, it's male heavy. So then I interviewed Steph, and then I interviewed my friend, Jen Tedmori, who used to be one of my students, but she's a lawyer now was the Anaheim Angels. Okay. And she's all grown up now, but it was just crazy. But she's a dancer, so it was a weird dynamic. It's just like my friend Danny, who worked at Disney, but he's also Secret Service. Like, it's just...
How interesting. Yeah, everybody's
weird, like, people just like, I want to go join the army. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I needed some color, because I was like, so I entered, everybody else was something else, right? So I was like, okay, well, Miguel's Puerto Rican, and Matt's white, and Steph's white, and I was like, okay, well, I need Wondrell. He's black from Chicago, so that was cool, because I got this whole Chicago side now that's like people from my broadcast school that are like, oh, we're hip to Tim's thing or whatever. I was like, I need more girls of color, you know, or at least darker than the norm. And I was like, So I went through my list, and I was like, you, and there was like 2 other people, and I was like, all right, cool. Let's see if I can make this happen. My other friend's Yana, and Yana used to be that lead singer in the group with Steph. But Yana is in Australia, so if I interview here, it's going to be like 3:00 in the morning, like some crazy. Really? I mean, I'll do it, no big deal, you know. But she's been busy with singing and whatnot. So what have you been doing? I know modeling, acting, right? I mean, you tell me. You know, what's anything fun happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. It's funny because usually I have my sisters sitting next to me, and I'm like, you guys, the family just asked me what I'm doing. What am I doing? Because like, I'm so tired, like in a good way, a good way. And before I like get on a roll, because you know me and I adore you, I will talk for ages. I do want to say thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. You're always on my list. You've been on my list forever. You know what I mean? I just think because we have just a cool connection as people, you know, and I like to keep those people around, because I'm all about family. So it's like, look, if I can help your career, you know, and I can help my friends and the small circle of people that I do consider good people, then we'll be like the Adam Sandler, and you always see your friends in the same project. You know what I mean? Because
thank you.
No one's doing that for us, so we got to create that. You know?
I mean, and that's the thing is like, I have people messaging me like, oh my God, you've made it. And I'm like, I'm working. I'm listening. like for whatever, you know, quote unquote made it is, because, you know, usually it's people outside the industry who don't really understand. So like the appearance is all that they know. Right. So they see I'm busy. So like, oh my God, you've done it. And, but like, that's neither here nor there. But what I was starting to say was like, no matter what or where I am, what level of success I think I've achieved, it's always been very important to me to never forget who helped me, and then turn around and try to give, you know, pass that on. So like, you know, you say you'll always think of me. I always think of you for anything. And like, you know,
wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
There's so many podcasts, different podcasts out there that you got to find your own little pocket, man. There's so many people that like what you like,
right?
your genre.
Well, the pockets are endless because it's not like you're going to run out of people. You can have, like right now, there's thousands of podcasts, but depending on what your niche is and what you like, you may only watch the gamer podcast, or you may only watch Joe Rogan, or you may only watch Dak Shepard, or you may only watch, Gary Owen or whatever, right? So it doesn't really matter. Like as long as you have an audience, someone's going to pay attention. Because then what happens is, so Timothy De La Ghetto was the only Asian dude for a moment on Wild 'N Out, right? So he has a thing called No Chaser podcast. It's him and this
really short guy, really short dude,
really short Asian guy, right? He was the only Asian guy on Wild 'N Out for a minute.
Oh, he was the only Asian guy. Okay,
yeah. So
dude, he's really funny. He's really funny though.
Because him and his girl Nikki Blades and his other black kid are on there, and they broadcast from LA somewhere, I think, right? But because he had a lot of attention on Wild 'N Out, right, and then he got his own podcast. I mean, he's literally reading commercials that are paying for his podcast. He's a big piece of paper.
Yeah.
He's like, this one is sponsored by tequila, whatever. Right?
How's he like? Are these guys? Because I don't know much about the algorithm, but like for me, like right now, until I don't know if I'm gonna do podcasts quite yet, but I think for my channel, it's gonna be for instance, it'll be let's say I'm moving out of state. I'm moving out of state for the first time on my own. I'm going full minimalist, or another title like watched one too many motivational videos. I'm over motivated. Whatever, something to catch somebody, a thumbnail, right? So
right.
How do you get a podcast to grow in that sense? Do you do it that way, or is it more word of mouth? I don't know how that works.
It starts with word of mouth, right? You got to post. So then you got to post, I got a podcast, just like now. You got to get subscribers, and people start to subscribe. And then the more you have content, the more somebody else goes, oh, you're subscribing to that. What is that? And then they check it out. Then it's the people that watch. So for instance, Matt and I is a comedian. He's in Laugh Factory. He's in movies, whatever. So people in Hollywood know who he is. So he's like, oh, I'm on this podcast. Now you got an audience. Whether that's a subscriber or not is a number game, right? So then I did the same thing with like Miguel, but nobody knew Miguel except for like my group of friends or people that he worked at Warner Brothers, right? But then when I had Stephanie on, it was twofold. One, she's a model, so everybody who knows the model game knows her. And second, because she's an attractive woman, then you just get viewers. Who's the girl he's interviewing? Who's that? I want to see what she's got to say. And then she gets on there with an Australian accent, and all of a sudden, because she passed Eddie's numbers in the first the first day I posted it, huh?
God, I did. God, you know what? It's funny. It's such a subtle accent. I do remember her having a little bit of an accent, but I couldn't place it. By the way, Australian accent. Let me hear yours, because I don't have one.
Dude, mine's horrible. You know how I know mine is?
It's the hardest one.
So me and Stephanie, way back when, and we still kind of.
Oh, that's right. I remember you saying about.
We have a show that we have called My Big Black Brother, right? But it's when she says it, she was like, I'm Stephanie Murone, and this is my big black brother, right? And I was like, but see, you could say that, and it's dope. I can't say that. You know what I mean? So, and I was like, this is perfect. Australian girl, model, comes to LA. I'm like a brother figure to her because when she got here, I told her all the people that she should stay away from in Hollywood. I was like, don't do that, don't do that. Anything after 6 o'clock is not business, period.
So what, only 3 people you introduced her to?
Yeah.
You're like, everyone's in Hollywood bad shit.
Yeah, but then she worked at a couple of the bars and stuff.
No,
and of course that's what happened. Then she got hit on by every fool in the business. She's been through those parties and going, this is weird. I'm not doing this anymore. So she kind of like, because she's like, look, no one's taking me seriously. They're just looking at me and going, yeah, I want you to be a statistic.
Speaking of girls and them getting hit on, so have we not learned, ladies and gentlemen, I'm single, and right. I will be single for the rest of my life. It's an educated decision. But for girls, man, you guys got to realize, I'm talking to you ridiculous gentlemen out there who have no lack of social skills, maybe.
Right.
And maybe a little bit too much rouge on their own image of themselves. First of all, stay in your lane when it comes to women. There are levels to this. Be realistic. I'm not saying you can't shoot your shot with a gorgeous girl who's out of your league, but know a girl's out of their league. And how it works every single time, guys, you never pull a girl. You never pull a girl. The girl allows you to continue.
Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
A couple things I wanted to ask, because I remember we had one time spoke about you're doing some acting stuff. And I don't know, I was asking, I'm just wondering if you're still in the acting space or, how's that working? I know right now nobody's shooting, but in general, prior to COVID, were you doing any acting bits, any roles in films, or you're on that acting grind? How's that?
I actually just had to hand in a self-tape yesterday for a film that was supposed to be shooting now, but they've had to extend it to the fall. Going it's for actually a lead in this film, so I'm hoping to get it. It's kind of like a sci-fi.
Nice.
Prior to COVID, I did a little horror film where I had a little acting role in that.
Did you have to scream? Like, were you the screamer one? Like the girl who had to go?
I was a rubber, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Got to steal some money and got killed along the way.
Wait, you're telling me you have a mean face? You have a mean face?
Apparently, I'm good at fake dying.
You're good at fake.
He's dead. Apparently, I do a very good job at that. So I'm a really big one of these.
You're like, yes, I can die on screen.
I can die.
They all make money. They all make money. Dang. Okay, so then now, of course, that whole side of the industry is crazy because, I have friends at Warner Brothers and some friends at Universal, and I'm actually still trying to pitch a few things now. And it's crazy that the meetings all look like this, right? Except there's more people. People are still trying to ramp up because they're trying to figure out how they're going to get their movie shot and whatever with all these protocols in place. But, like Tom Cruise just like built a compound and you just have to stay on the compound. So you're basically quarantined while you're working.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But I don't know if every studio's going to kind of get like that where like, okay, we're going to shoot this thing for a month. So you got to come in, you got to stay here. You're basically in quarantine while you're working. My question was, what happens when you leave? Do you got to quarantine 14 days wherever you go next?
Right.
Or are you done with your quarantine because it's been 30 days and you've had kind of 2 weeks and then 2 weeks again? If, you know what I mean? I don't know. People are still flying and American Airlines, they don't even put space in between. It's a full flight.
Yeah, I read something today. Like, apparently they're just packing their flights up. They don't even
packing them up. They're like, we wipe stuff down in between flights. They do that. You have to wear a mask, but you're still next to everybody, So I don't know how that's going to work. JetBlue, they leave like the middle seat empty, But
all these companies are going broke,
They have to do something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about music? I mean, are you still doing music? I mean, you're like the white moat, right? You're like the master of all. You're like the master of all.
I sing, I dance, I act. I'm the triple threat.
I engineer and I edit and I do this and I do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, so is that still part of it? So let's say you are, editing a film, or you're doing a documentary, or you're doing something. Do you use your own music? Or are you just creating music to create music? Tell me what.
I haven't actually used any of my music for anything I've edited yet because what I've been editing has been mainly things for companies, shoe companies, clothing brands, lingerie brands. So I use my music. I haven't really gone with that kind of a vibe that I've been editing yet, but I do want to start editing this short film that I shot the other day, and I might use my music for that. So
there
actually,
you go. You gotta do that. You gotta introduce your music to everybody.
Yeah, actually, I just in terms of recording and stuff, I have, but it hasn't, when I first moved here, it was music.
Right.
Music. And along the way, like you said, reality kind of hits when you move to LA and you meet some crappy people. You meet good people too, but generally, being a female in this industry is very difficult. because it's masculine dominated. And so I've been lucky, and I still like record a track here and there. I still want to like shoot a video to it, I'll release it,
right.
But my wanting to like do albums and I don't have like a wanting for that anymore.
Got it.
My motivation, inspiration has gone more to acting and shooting. I love being behind the camera too. Nice. And modeling. I'm still blessed enough to still be able to model. So yeah, as much as I love music, I think my journey was just so much like this. And then I got to a certain age. And I just was like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of it, feeling like I'm nearly there and then starting again from scratch and nearly there. And I mean, I did it for so long, and I just got to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe just have a little break from that for right now. Try a different lane, because I've kind of been doing all areas of the industry, but maybe focus more on acting or they used to dance too. So yeah, but no, I definitely have been doing like a little feature here and there as well. Some artists, be like, nice. I like lay down some vocals for them. And
really?
Yeah.
Have you had a celebrity encounter that like was like a wow moment? Like if you ever like walked into a room or walked into an audition and was like, oh, that's so and so. Have you had a moment like that?
Beyonce.
Really?
She's my ultimate. She was someone I always wanted to meet, and I was at this event, and she walked in with Jay-Z, and you know me, I'm shy, and I really don't approach anyone, but I was starstruck, and I think I had a few drinks that night too, so I was a little more happy, and I just went up to her, and I was like,
Queen Bee, right?
I was like,
that's funny.
I just have to tell you, you are so beautiful and talented. And she was so nice back. She was like, thank you so much. And then Jay-Z kind of grabs her and pulls her away. But she was
like, you ain't working right now. Yeah.
That's all I needed. It was like, out of everyone I've met, that was my number one favorite celebrity encounter.
Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
Like everything's open. You have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
But everything is open. That means the bar's open. That means the club's open. That means social distancing is about to go away in Florida. Whether or not we get a spike or not is a whole other question. But he just said it today. Oh, so now there's all this controversy because now all of a sudden they're like, haha, free reign. What's the first thing they're going to build up? Bars, pool
Pretty
parties,
much.
right? Bars, parties, bars, hotel parties, and bars and clubs.
Don't forget bars.
Bars. Because the bars where the money's at, right?
Yeah, no, really.
So you're like, this is all going to change? So like yesterday, went to the spot, wear a mask coming in, and there was all the tables. Now, if I'm a restaurant owner and I got 50% of my tables out and DeSantis just said you can open up.
Yeah.
Every table's coming back. So they're not going to worry about social distancing. Watch.
At all. No, they ain't gonna worry about social distancing. When I was just in Memphis, like it was like the first weekend of them opening up from social distancing. And when I went to Beale Street, it was packed. It was like you could have swore like they was having a concert or somebody was out there famous or something. But like, yeah, no, it was just people was happy to get out the house. It was filled up. So like, yeah, and it wasn't no social distancing. You see people with masks, some people didn't have masks, but out here, it's the same thing. Like, I think out here, it's a lot of places still boarded up from the, I don't even, there's so much stuff that happens out here. So much,
Chicago,
it's hard to keep up with it. So like, yeah, but anyway, they raided the downtown area, which was like right down the street from the school. I didn't think we was going to be able to get in school that week, but the school was open. So, but like, yeah, the places are open. I think some of the businesses from COVID didn't recover. So, you got a lot of, I say there's a high percentage of businesses that didn't open back up, but majority of them opened back up. But like, yeah. As other than that, man, I've just been staying away from people for real.
You have to. I mean, right now it's interesting. I mean, it's just interesting. Even Miami, I'm like, I've been to LA twice. Same thing. It was in Hollywood, just like weird. I'm just hoping it all ends. It goes back to somewhat normal. I guess that's why DeSantis is doing it. Some people like it, some people don't. I think the problem is that we can stay closed till next year. Like we're going into the holidays, right? People gonna spend money. So if you open it up, city makes more money. You got more money to work with. With that being said, they still take precautions, but you can have everybody in the club with the mask on,
right? And still get it. I'm sorry,
right? And you get COVID walking in the grocery store. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. All I know is that the world has changed. That's for damn sure.
So my biggest So I tell you some facts about COVID. Some crazy facts about COVID. COVID helped a lot of people. First of all, find out that they breath stank. I don't think a lot of people knew their damn breath stank that damn bad.
Yeah.
You put that mask on and be like, what the hell?
Right.
So that was one thing.
Right.
Like, another thing I really hate, that this is one thing I truly hate, and it happens a lot, is just seeing people's eyeballs in the store like this.
Oh yeah, like when you're trying to talk with your eyes down.
Ninja or like a Egyptian queen goddess. I don't know. It's crazy to see people's eyes, and it's like they be looking hard too. I'll be like, oh my god.
And you don't know because you can't see it, right? So it's not like this. Like, oh, am I mad? Am I happy? Yeah. What is it?
Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
Right. Because most bars, well, I went to a bar and they go, oh, you can't, the people said the bar's not open. I go, well, the bar is open. So I went to the bar and they go, the rule is, right, you can sit at the bar if you eat, right? So if you eat, you can drink as much as you want at the bar. If you don't eat, they give you the drink to go, which is crazy because they literally give you a cup and say,
with a piece of tape.
But the same thing happened in California. I went to the Yard House. I was there for Tyson's mom's funeral last week, like a week ago, right?
Yard House, what?
I was in Cali. Yeah. I was in Cali for like 2 days because I had to go to Tyson's mom's funeral, right?
Aww.
So yeah, that's another thought. We'll talk about that too. So I went, and me and Lyndon went to the Irvine Spectrum, and we went into the Yard House. Now, the Yard House is open, but the entire inside, you can't sit. That little tiny patio they got outside, you can sit. But because it's little, you're limiting a lot of people. So we go in there, and they go, well, we can serve you drinks to go. I go, what do you mean? She's like, you could buy a drink, we could put it in a plastic cup, and you can just walk right in front and drink it. I was like, so that's how they do that. People just sit there and drink in front of the door.
So stupid. So stupid.
I don't know how that's better. I mean,
it's Orange County though.
Every other table, it's the same difference.
Orange County's been going off too. But I don't know. How were they at Irvine Spectrum? Were they walking around without masks on or what?
People had their masks because you have to, but you don't technically have to wear it while you're walking around because the Irvine Spectrum's open.
Yeah.
You could just walk around and then put your mask on when you go into the store.
Yeah.
So most people had masks, and then they would just be like, "Oh, I got to go in there," and they go, and then they go in and they come out. But there were people, and it's kind of busy.
Yeah.
The world is crazy place.
Busy that's open.
It's just a new. It's just all I don't know.
A new normal. It's the new normal.
I hate to call it normal at all.
It's the new normal.
Right. I know. It bugs me though. It really does bug me.
What part?
That it's still going on.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I understand why, and I wear my mask, and I don't freak out inside of a Trader Joe's because I feel like I should have the ability to not wear a mask. And I was like, look, house rules, right? No shoes, no shirt, no service, no mask, no service. Same difference. I wish people would just get over it. But when you go and you scream at the top of your lungs at a clerk or a cashier inside of a Trader Joe's, what are you going to accomplish? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
You look like the idiot, and that's why they label those people like Karens or whatever. You know, it's like, what is your deal? Why do you knew when you went it was going to be an issue?
I don't know. I feel like it's a bunch of people that are just don't have an outlet for their anger and are just feeling the need to project.
Right.
You know, It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And I've seen so many videos, and people are getting canceled for that stuff. Like, you'd think people would think a little bit before acting. Like, there was that guy yesterday that his dad was going off, and so the two sons had to like carry him out of the store because he was yelling at people for wearing masks. And you're like, if your own sons have to like put you in check, like maybe think about, it's just, I don't,
people have this pent up, it's pent up, the COVID pent up energy, right? Like the Huntington Beach kids, the bro, you know, in Huntington, I mean, they love to fight anyway. So see, as soon as you say, hey, you wear a mask, what you say, you know, man, they get all like UFC on you real quick, you know, because they feel like, you know, I could do whatever, you know, it's just that thing, that Huntington thing. But there's two little surfer boys are walking around in Huntington just saying, hey, if you want a mask, we're giving them out for free to anybody. 3 people got off their bikes and like wanted to fight because they were offering masks. You're like, so what does it matter, man? What is it? Why fight about that? If you don't want to wear it, don't wear it.
It's funny you said Huntington Beach. I was at the beach when everything kind of reopened on the weekends. There was a BLM protest, and then people walking across the street in masks. And there was one blonde lady that was across the way yelling at people for wearing masks, like screaming at the top of her lungs, like, you're cutting off circulation to your brain, like, you guys are idiots, take off your effing mask. And I was like, why does any of that bother you? Like, why are you letting what other people are doing bother you?
Because they feel like somebody's trying to control them, right? Isn't that what it is? Like, they're trying to tell us what to do, and then what next? I get that mentality.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why it's a big deal when it's just a piece of fabric. It's like, look, no one said you had to wear it all day, every day, everywhere you go, other than inside a facility.
Yeah.
Just like you can't walk into Abercrombie with no shoes on, even though the kids on the wall got no shoes on. You know what I mean? You can't walk in there with no shirt on because you can't, you know? But it's the other side of it. Everyone's, you know, they're trying to control me and this, and that, and the other. And you know, I've heard every conspiracy theory, and not even conspiracy. Some of them are just factual stuff that, depending on what you believe in, it's what you believe. Like, you know Eddie Garcia, right? So, you know, so Eddie, because of his sister especially, and I completely agree with him, right? Because his sister, you know, fell ill, you know, so he doesn't want to make her susceptible to anything. So he's always wearing his mask and doing his thing. And you know, if a vaccine comes out, he'll probably take that vaccine. So my question to him is, so what about the other people? And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, I don't take vaccines. I don't take flu shots. I just don't. That's just my choice. I shouldn't be forced to take a vaccine. You know what I mean? But what happens is, when you have people on the other side that are like really, really adamant about it, what they think is that you're putting other people in danger by not taking this vaccine. Therefore, you are, you know what I mean? It's like, now are they going to use that against you? Because some places are trying to drop laws like that, where like, we can force you to take a vaccine if we feel like you are a threat to the general public.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you don't take a vaccine that we feel is the cure for the general public, then we can do it against your will, because now it's a law. You know what I mean? So it gets crazy. A little, like, depending on who you're talking to, it gets a little hairy in that space. You know, I just been like watching other things, because there's a lot of distractions on TV. So I'm like, turned off the TV. I turned off a bunch of negative feeds that I got. There are people who are just at odds on Facebook all day long. I'm like, you guys have to go do something. Pick up a hobby. Like,
that's the thing. Nobody has anything to do.
Right?
Wake up! It's the Tim Stevenson Show.
Videos here and there, but I don't really. I don't put as much into it as I should, because, you know, there's that ego in me. I'm like, you know, I was trained by Tim Robbins, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm a thespian, but, you know, if you want to make it a career, it's good to have numbers. I mean, that's the world we live in. You know, you can walk in an audition. I heard this from a friend of mine who's in casting. She was doing this thing, and there was a woman there she didn't know, one of the assistants or whatever. Right. And every time they walked in, she would she would yell out a number, you know, like 72,000 or 15,000, and whatever that number was, the directors and also this was for a commercial, so this wasn't really acting. Probably wasn't the big thing. It was more about representing a product. Okay. But the client, so when I say director, I think it's more the client was more interested in these numbers. So that at the end, the casting director, because most of these people, like when it comes to film and TV, a lot of their budget is marketing, you know. And the other thing is this too: if you got a huge social media following, I mean, obviously that gives you power. But the truth is, I mean, at least in my opinion, your fans are used to watching you for free on a social media platform. So if you're a shitty actor, but you're a great entertainer with like, hey, I'm gonna go shopping and fuck with people. But if you're a crappy actor, just because somebody likes you, if you end up being in a movie and you are shit in the movie, no one's gonna be paying to see you do shit.
No.
So me, I have a firm belief that no matter what, whether you got the following or not, eventually my work will speak for itself, and I'll get more, and that works for me. I mean, I ain't rich, but I'm, you know, I've done things like there's people that will be like, oh wow, you did this scene with a big actor, they go crazy over it. And for me, fuck the scene. I want to be the big actor. I want to be, you know, I want to art. You know, I did a play where I was one of the main characters, and I had fucking 50 pages of dialogue, and I made the audience laugh, and I made those motherfuckers cry, and it was beautiful. And then the play's done, and I still got to prove myself every time I do, every audition I go to, because nobody knows, you know, and that shit can get a little like, so for me, I just want to get to the point where like I'm respected in the art that I'm at. I don't need to be a millionaire, but I'd like to make some money. And that was my point that I was saying, is that with music going this way and things going that way and everything, I do believe that anybody that has something, a talent, and if it's a niche, right? Yeah. It's just a thing that you're good at. You know, you're the best tuba playing motherfucker in 2020.
Right. Yeah.
You don't need the whole world to love you. You don't need, you know, it'd be great to be, you know, a sensation or whatever. I mean, it might be a little weird, but money-wise, at least it'd be great. The truth is, you could be an independent artist of any type and have a substantial income if you have a fan, and if that fan continuously taking in your crafts. So I don't know what the fuck the answer is. I'm half rambling, but that's my point, is like.
But that's what it is. I mean, you could be, I mean, there's dudes who they're not big on television or they're not big on the radio, but they're selling out concerts and doing shit all day long. They got millions of dollars in the bank. Just because they don't get hit up by TMZ doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Because even Aries talks about that. Aries is like,
I love him.
You know, he'd be like, people think I fell off, but I just got paid $80,000 to do 30 minutes in Dubai. I fell off, right? Because you're not as big as Kevin Hart or somebody else. So they don't fall off. They're making bank.
But, and also the way things are designed now too. This goes to like back to kind of the conspiracy theorist in me, but I think of like Tupac, and I think of like, you know, when you have like a real artist that can have a movement behind them, by giving people power, you're now giving power to an entity that you might know what that entity's goal is, right? So it could be against the goal of the powers that gave that entity the recognition to begin with. So what I mean by that is, you look like back in the days, and you got like Rolling Stones, right?
Right.
To this day, these motherfuckers are 80 years old, and they can put on a concert and people are going to go. There's still people that are like, oh, look at his lips. They're hanging off his fucking skeleton face.
Yes.
I just want to kiss them. You know what I mean? They're idols forever. And then for some reason, I've noticed that at some point they made a switch where it's all flavors of the week. Everybody sounds the same. So if you sound like the other dude sounds, and the other dude sounds like the other dude sounds, if they kick you off, you know, if you end up getting some ideas, or you end up getting maybe I can help the world instead of not doing. And then people will follow you. But if they're like, oh, yo, that dude's lame, he got his ass beat at the mall. And then the next guy comes out with the same music. This dude beat someone's ass at the mall. So he didn't get his ass kicked at the mall. He won the fight at the mall. Oh, well, let's listen to his music because he won that fight. And they sound exactly the fucking same. So it doesn't matter who. Anyway.
I.e. mumble rap. But yeah, I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And also the fact, the disrespect of the older hip hop, the way a lot of dudes are like this. Like, I don't think anyone in rock and roll ever came out like, fuck the Beatles. You know what I'm saying? Like,
seriously. You know what I'm saying? There's like zero respect. But that's that millennial thing. Like, I'm dope. Everyone says they're the king. I'm the king of New York. You and the other 5 dudes who sound just like you. Y'all got the same hair, the same braids. Y'all all say after every beat. It's the same shit, but they're getting rewarded. So they think they're like kings. You know, but the real kings are like, really? Like Snoop, Ice Cube, people like that, Tupac, people that are still around. There's a few cats that I admire, like Kendrick, I like.
They give you
I'm actually okay with DaBaby. I think his stuff is, you can actually hear what he's saying. So I actually like him. And then a couple of people was like, Yachty had like one song that I thought was dope, but a lot of these dudes like Trippie Redd, I'm like, I don't get it. So I'm just kind of like, because it's not really different than the next dude who looks just like you, who sounds just like you. But the kids love that shit, and they show up, and those kids are paid because.
But my point is that for artists that, let's say, are coming out now that are like, fuck, face tat, and if I fail in music, I can't get a job.
Yeah, right.
I better make it.
It's a good thing Post Malone is good, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you'd be fucked. But like my point is like for the kids that are trying to do shit now, if that's not the shit they vibe with, there's still a fan base. Like you still got people like Rhymesayer. Bro, I follow like Rhymesayers and all them on Instagram. Okay. And like Atmosphere just had a new music video. Like what the fuck? You know, they've been doing it for 30 years. So I mean, you could make. I'm not the biggest Atmosphere fan just because you know, but I respect the shit out of him and his lyricism and stuff. But my point is like you can do whatever it is you want to do. Right. And be successul if you keep pushing, or not. I don't know. Life's hard, man.
Just go after the tour though. So this cat, Futuristic, right? Right. I know him because I saw a video. He did this thing called Nerds Rap in Compton, and then all of a sudden I was like following his music. I had him on my iPod, and then
he's going around pretending to have the like Steve Urkel in it.
Yeah, sounding to be like Steve Urkel, and he would just rap. Yeah, he kills it, right? So dope. Cut to Martin Kurzenbaum works at Universal Music, right? And Cherry Tree calls me in and goes, I need you to go see this kid, Huey Mack. I'm thinking about signing him. Maybe I'm doing some management stuff for him. He's out of Virginia, but he's really big in the college circuit. I'm like, all right, cool. So they send me back to Orange County to go watch him. And Futuristic is the opening act, right? And I didn't know that. And I get there, and then like Futuristic walks up to me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I was sitting here by Cherry Tree to look at Huey, whatever." And I do this, that, and the other. And me and his manager got to talking. But it was a trip because Futuristic has been on tour for a minute, like him and Devon Terrell and these other cats, and they're always sold out. They don't even need a record label at that point. Like they just do their own merch. They make their own money.
Why would you want to owe somebody else at that point?
I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. Record label's a bank, right? So you're just paying money back out the ass and they own you forever, you know? Yeah. Especially now because of social media and who you know, like Chance, it's like, if you know cats, you're good. You end up on their records, they end up in your videos, you're good. You know, you make your own money, you hire the people to do the deals, boom, now you got all the top people saying they want you to tour. You know what I mean? They're just popping off left and right. And there's a few cats like that who are already in. Like, I remember going to South by Southwest, and I was sitting in a room, and all Jermaine Dupri's people flooded the VIP room because they were doing a special show. Well, they didn't know who I was. They just thought I was a record label exec. So they're all asking me questions. And all these kids, they sign a bunch of these kids, like Chicago rappers and Atlanta rappers, and they all kind of mold them into the same kind of artist. And they each one kind of emerge a little bit in their areas, but none of them ever really like boom, unless, you know, they fucking sell their soul and now they're in Nicki Minaj's video, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
Kids and they're doing a peaceful protest, and you'll see people come out and try to agitate them and yell at them, and they're in their face. You're not going to change that person's mind. They've already made up their mind. Right. That person that's yelling at you. But then in turn, if you're yelling at someone and you don't know who they are, or you don't know what the situation is, you're not going to change that person's mind. You're not going to get them to have a dialogue. I believe some people have made mistakes and are trying to better themselves. I also believe some people are doing it for business sakes, you know, they're
have you seen the influencers? Oh my God. I mean, Jesus, it's like one after the other. Hey, let me go take a picture. Like I'm helping by drilling this one screw into a wall for a store owner, and then they get into a car and leave because they're in their social media.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you have to, like I said, standing up for a cause is very important. Right. I'm all about encouraging people to get behind your cause is different than telling people to get behind your cause.
You shouldn't have to tell anybody anything. If you want to educate people, educate them. Like, I've had to do that. So my biggest thing that I was fighting emotionally was people who automatically default to all lives matter when you say Black Lives Matter without thinking where the source comes from. Are there radicals in Black Lives Matter? Yeah, just like there's radicals in government and Me Too movement and all the movements, right? There's always bad seeds. But the root of Black Lives Matter is trying to be included in all lives matter. That's why we're saying Black Lives Matter, because if Black lives did matter, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would just be all lives matter.
But that matter is what the key thing is Black Lives Matter. They do. They do. Like, this matters to us as a society. This is important because it's not fair.
And being dismissive pisses me off. You know what I mean? It's dismissive to just be like, all lives matter. Oh, okay.
But that's a given. You know, that's a given.
People say blue lives matter. Yeah, blue lives matter. But the police aren't being killed, right? Not on the level of African Americans in this country. They're not being killed. Now, with that being said, because I have friends who are officers in FBI and Secret Service and all that other stuff, I will say this. Because people are mad at the cops, it's a general statement because it's about cops murdering people and not being convicted of murder, right? So you have to go, well, then the cops need work because, if you got a team that plays dirty, right, you're going to be like, the team is dirty, even though there's only 2 people who play dirty on the team, right? So it's like an overall thing. But everyone's like, well, I have friends that are cops. Well, so do I. We all do. Killer Mike's got, like, I think everyone in his family is a police officer, right? But that's beside the point. It's like, we need to weed out the bad ones. And if the blue code says don't rat on police, that's a problem, especially if they're standing on your neck. You know what I mean? And I don't care what anybody says. Yes, does George Floyd have skeletons in his closet that did some shitty things when he was younger? Of course he did. But of course, a lot of people have. They didn't deserve to die for it.
No, but that's why we have the judicial system.
Right.
It's supposed to, you're not guilty before you're, like, you have to go through a process. And I believe, like that officer, the sheriff that was in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, I love that guy. Chris Swanson or something like that. Yeah.
You know, he went, I hear you.
Thank you. Right? That's all it was needed.
And everybody went, whoa. And guess what?
And they marched with him, and it was peaceful.
Because he goes, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. And this is how we make change.
But if you knock over an old man because you got a suit on, you got a problem.
Okay.
If you're the 15 guys who quit because the other 2 got fired, you were a bad cop anyway. Well, I think it was just a task force. They didn't quit the police department, right? It was just like a task force that they made for protest.
I think, like, I spoke to some officers at a restaurant, and I can't speak what it's like to be an officer.
Right.
So I don't know the day in and day out things that they have to go through. So again,
but it's not excusable anyway. It doesn't matter what they go through every day. People in life go through shit every day. Doesn't give you justify murder.
No, you're completely right. But right. I think it's also quick. You can't generalize them all. And I think that's important.
I know how that feels.
You know what I mean?
Right?
No, exactly.
I know how that feels. Right? Because that's what's happening.
Yes.
Some people generalize a whole class of people.
Yes.
And then those people are targeted, right? So but then people jump on the police side and say, look, nobody's targeting the police. People are just verbally saying the police, they need to fix this. Whatever cities, some cities are better than others.
Yeah.
And we know there are probably more good cops and bad cops, but every bad cop that kills an unarmed black person, and it's the same MO, it's not like they're killing unarmed white people or unarmed Asians. You know what I'm saying? So it's a certain class of people that are always getting the short end of that stick. So of course it's a broad statement to say, it's the cops. But just like those peaceful protesters, they're yelling because they're angry at the situation, but then they're hugging the cops that are there because the cops are people. Just behind that badge is a real person, right? A father, probably a son, a grandson, or whatever. So, but it's the dynamic of it, right? And there's no leaders, right? Until now, there's some that are popping out of the woodwork, but there's no leader. We don't have a leader going, let's fix this. What we got is people kind of whitewashing answers or not really getting to the point and just saying, well, this is horrible. What happened to George Floyd was horrible, you know. And then we got the highest level saying nothing about murder. And then you have other cops going, that was murder.
Yeah.
Right?
Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.
Example, Huntington Beach High School,
Mm-hmm.
there was an autistic kid, right?
Sure.
And a group of kids were beating up on him. And this one particular kid is like beating the shit out of this autistic kid.
Right.
So this football player, white kid, and the kid was white. They're all white kids. I mean, but the football player kid came up and socked the dude who socked the autistic kid. And they suspended the football player. I was like, why would you suspend him? He's the one who came to the rescue of that kid getting beat up by people, and you suspend the kid that helped him. So I'm like, why do you punish that guy? Why do you punish him? He's the guy who saved the day. For me, a guy deserved an award for standing up for somebody who couldn't fight for themselves.
To be honest with you, I don't even think he deserves an award. I think it's just what you should.
I'm just being hypothetical. You know what I mean?
No. I think it's just what you should be doing.
But it was the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Right. I'll give you another example. I'll give the idea that we celebrate somebody who finds money and gives it back. We celebrate that. I go, why are you celebrating that?
Right.
First of all, that's what you're supposed to do. It ain't your money.
That's why we celebrate it, because humanity's been kind of lost, right? So we're like, somebody did something good
of each other. That's what I'm saying.
Because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, so in Triangle Square,
that's what you were supposed to do.
That was supposed to do. Well, I mean, Chris Rock makes that joke. You're like, I take care of my kids. He's like, you're supposed to take care of your kids. You know what I mean? Why? Of course, that's what you do, right? So I was at Triangle Square, and this dude came running down the escalator, and I happened to be in the parking lot. Well, all 6 bouncers were chasing him. Started beating up on this dude. So I jump in the middle, and I'm literally like, y'all got to stop. You got to stop. Right. I don't know this kid.
Right.
I don't know any of those bouncers either. I just know that it's not a fair fight, right? 6 people on one dude, and he already left the property. So now you're just beating him up in the parking lot, and that's not suit your property. So I was like, yo, he's done. You got him. Ready? Now move. Because I'm like, I'm not going to stand here and watch this.
And this ain't the movies where you fall down 3 flights of stairs and you land and you get up 5 minutes later.
No.
This is one wrong move. You can paralyze the guy. You can kill the guy.
Right.
You're going to jail for the rest of your life for not killing a guy.
Right.
For what? For what? So all these videos of people, even kids think they watch these MMA videos and they think they could do something that somebody's trained with all their life. So they do a suplex on this guy, and all of a sudden the guy goes headfirst into the cement.
You know why they do that, right? They do that because the Jackass guys made money.
I'm not even saying it's the MMA. I'm just saying that they see it. And
it started happening with the WWF, right? Everyone thought they could do that. They don't realize that the guys in WWF and the girls are athletes, and they practice those moves every day so that they don't die doing them for television. I don't care if it's fake or not, they're still athletes, right? You can't just, so then people started jumping off the roof and landing on a table and breaking their back. I'm like, come on, man. And then the Jackass guys did it and got famous for it. And then you got a bunch of guys that try to do that. But what they don't understand is, like, a guy who fights in the UFC, if you ain't a UFC guy or you ain't Bruce Lee, you ain't winning that fight. You are not winning that fight. That dude is a pro. Like, you know what I mean? They are trained. I mean, it's like going to me. That's like when Conor McGregor fought Mayweather. I go, he's gonna. What do they say? Who thinks he's gonna win? I go, if they fight in a boxing ring, Mayweather will whoop his ass.
He's gonna win, right?
If they fight in the UFC, Conor McGregor will whoop his ass. It's not a fair fight.
It was basically a Rocky versus Clubber Lang.
Exactly.
I mean, because it was kind of like, come on. I mean,
it was. What's his name? What's his not Clubber Lang. What's Hulk Hogan, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Right. Hulk Hogan versus Sylvester Stallone. You're like 2 different worlds,
exactly.
2 different art forms.
But I think it's. Listen, I get it. I get it that people. Some people love the rush of violence. They love the idea of 2 people coming together in blows. I get that.
And I like it in the movies and in sports.
Well,
not in real life.
I don't necessarily have a problem with two people handling it like that. If they have to, whatever.
Sometimes you have to.
But there comes a point in time where you, as a human being, has to step in. But we don't step in anymore. And this is what goes back to my original point. Am I my brother's keeper?
Right.
And what America has to come to the realization is, I have not been. Right. I have not been my brother's keeper. Because if I was, equality would feel like it existed for everybody.
Yeah.
This is when people.
So we came from a school, like you said, we came from a school and our parents where we would get in fights with people and then end up being friends later on down the line.
Right.
There was this common respect for like, okay, we got in a fight. I mean, I fought John Seeloff. I got in a fist fight. I got in a push fight with Sergio, Danny Barber. You know what I mean? We didn't come to blows with Danny Barber, but like I fought a lot of dudes in high school, you know, and then ended up kind of like hanging out with them because it was just different. We didn't come back with 6 other dudes and shotguns 20 minutes later. We didn't do all that. If you lost a fight, you lost a fight. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But now there's this thing like, oh, if I lose, I'm coming back with guns and 6 more dudes, and I'm going after your family. Like, come on, man. It's gotten out of hand. And like, I'm the first person to break up a fight always, because I'm like, I mean, girl fights, try not to get near girl fights because they're crazy, right? Like girl fights, I'm like, I might lose an eye or some shit, but like dude fights. Now, don't get me wrong. I won't get into a fight with 2 dudes who are like on drugs. I won't even go near it because it's not your fight. Call the cops. You know what I mean? It's not, you just know when not to fight. Same thing with when a drunk couple or drug or drunk couple are fighting in the parking lot. Rule number 1, especially in the ghetto, if there's a drunk couple in the parking lot fighting and you try to save her, she'll hit you first. Guarantee she'll hit you first.
Right. Exactly.
Happened with Ross's brother. That's what happened at Garbs. He got knocked out. And then I had to fight the dude. But see, even when I fought that dude, it was more in self-defense. I didn't go after him. I took him off Jeff. And then I said, leave him alone. And then he came after me. And I was trying not to get hit. So I wrapped him up, dropped him down, started bleeding out of his nose. And then he was like, let me go. And I got up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not opposed to the idea of 2 people going at it for a reason. I mean, that's fine. There are a lot of situations where, you know, you can tell as a human being, this ain't going to end well.
Right.
But I don't see anybody. It's almost like an old school way of thinking.
Right.
Most people, you know, take for, you know, I think one of the biggest prime examples that you brought up was that cop in your daughter's school.
Oh, and where?
The daughter's school, the cop that didn't go in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there was something lacking in that guy.
Courage.
Now, you could say,
right.
Courage, but courage is built. It's not inherent.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But this is a trained officer, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people today, I feel, I could be wrong. I just feel from my standpoint of what I see. Again, I could be wrong. And I'm older, so, you know, maybe I'll look it through it, you know, as an older father's perspective. Right. But a lot of people I see don't have that humanity gene where I go, it's not about me. I think people go, it's all about me.
Yeah, and today's time, absolutely, I see that.
So to jump into a fight to break up something is to say, it's not about me because I can get hurt in that.
Right.
You know, but I just don't see that today. It's everybody's all about themselves. We can go into social media and influencers and all these.
Wake up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show.